In a world that's evolving faster than ever, this is a space for ideas, knowledge, and connection. Here we exchange insights and perspectives with respect and curiosity, navigating the digital age together. From the mind to the machine, from the human to the future, we're here to explore the boundaries of innovation, creativity, and learning. Welcome to the journey. All right, let's make the most of this moment. I have just recorded a video for my teaching channel. More like a little. I put the bloody. I have already taken it down from hibernate up until 2 hours. Whoa. Right. Anyway, so because I always talk about my teacher's methodology, that it's literally, I was telling them that it's literally like when you do this kind of exercise, for IQ, you have to understand the pattern to be able to solve the problem, yeah, solve the exercise. And this chart does exactly that, especially for Latin-based language is really straightforward, because Latin-based language like Portuguese, my mother language, has several terminations, several endings for each verb, and that makes the language really hard to learn. Like for example, you have I has one ending for all the verbs, different ones depending the verb. You, he, she, it, different than in English that you have, for example, I play, you play, he, she, it plays, we, you, they play. It's a lot easier in English. An action verb has 5 forms only, yeah. Where in Portuguese you have 72 for each verb. Because of the differences between each person. Eu como, tu comes, ele come. Nós comemos, vós comeis, eles comem. You see, it's 6 different endings for each verb. That's why in Portuguese we can use like the sentences with no subject, because the verb already indicates who is acting. But yeah, grammar aside, like I always been uh, very interested in English. For some reason, I don't know. When I was a kid, I used to play basketball. That's the memory I have. I used to play basketball, and I believe following the NBA, I wanted to learn and understand what they were talking, because back in those days, the TV still had the original audio sometimes, like we were watching in Brazil. You had the narration, but you could still hear either the English narrators, uh, or even the court sometimes or whatnot. But also it had a big influence on my teacher, Professor Matias Now. He was the man, he's actually down here. That's the man there in the corner. This here. Yeah, because he was a teacher at the same school where my mom was teaching. It was a Catholic school, and I was studying in the morning, and then in the afternoon I would stay around the school, fucking around and playing football and doing naughty stuff. So he used to, because he used to teach mornings and afternoons, so mom as well sometimes, and that's why I was in the school in the afternoon. So he used to grab me and take me to either class he was going to. He would put me in a corner seat with a bunch of paper, like sentences. One of these, handmade still back in the day. It wasn't a printed chart like, nice and tidy like it is now. But, and I would stay there, translating sentences for the whole afternoon, that's what I did. And I developed this interest and this connection with English after I started to understand more about the language. Nowadays, I study about English history. I have always been a fan of the medieval times, like the knights and the castles and all that. That connects quite a bit with the English culture, and now understanding a lot more, even like the Germanic influence and how the Anglais was born and how it ended up being the English that we know today, that it's constantly also evolving and changing, like there are not only dialects or slangs or accents, and now we got the digital way of talking as well, so it's pretty cool. It's and for me, don't take me wrong, it's not underestimating anything, but is English compared to other languages. I speak also Italian, and because of this complexity with the verbal tenses, it makes English a lot easier. Also, it's the common language. It's the language you use to communicate with the world. So it has all these advantages, in my point of view. It is easier to grasp it, like superficially, let's say, to be able to communicate, and compared to, several other languages, So, yeah, I was literally telling them that this chart does that, it literally, it shows you these structures that the English language has in sentences, that you have a subject, an auxiliary verb, and a main verb. And then to make it a negative, you just add a not beside the auxiliary verb. And then to make a question, you just move the auxiliary verb in front of the subject, and boom, and then from there you get to know the modal verbs, that they have a big influence in what is being said. And you have to know action verbs. I always say to people, I say you can always gain vocabulary if you know verbal structure. If you know some verbs and some auxiliary verbs, you can ask people like, oh, how do you call this in English? What is the name of this in English? Oh, Laita. Okay, thank you. Yeah. But you know how to, and you don't speak like in blocks, like only knowing a lot of vocabulary, but not knowing the structure. And again, from 72 to 5, it's a huge difference, Most of the verbs in English are regular, which means the second and third form end with an ed, which makes it a lot easier. Some irregular verbs, I think it was 300, something like that. But they are more old school considered, and quite a few have already been uh, um, regulated. Some verbs that were, I think learn is one. To learn, learned. And in the US, they say to learn, learned. Yeah, it's just an example of a verb that was irregular and turned to uh, regular, because it's easier. People don't remember maybe the irregular form, and then they just put an ed, they will get it. And somehow people do get it, so English is English. I love English, so that's why my channels are in English. I started a channel, a vlog in Portuguese, but I kind of, yeah, it's a hard feeling. I know a lot of people there is gonna maybe yap around about, but I prefer English. I would rather speak English and connect to people that have at least developed their brain to a level of understanding English as well, especially nowadays. I teach English to help people to get there. I always say to people, like, once you learn English, you can travel, you can experience things in different ways, because you can connect more to people, to places and whatnot. And yeah, so it's not that I was born in Brazil, obviously, considering the imaginary lines. But if you look at me, my surname Schreiber, and since I was a kid, I always felt like the word can't be this. I always felt like living the place I was, so Anyway, I'm a snow, yeah. So snows are like that. We come and go, and we always looking for a place to call home, yeah. And coincidentally, England and especially London has always been the place that drags me back. I've been to Italy for a marriage. I've been to New Zealand for another marriage. I went to France for a life change. Yeah, I went to Holland, to the Netherlands for also trying to change my life, and I ended up always coming back to London. And things now, I'm taking time. I'm having opportunity, as I have mentioned here, to, explore more my brain. I have been alcohol free for over a year, and I have taken that for granted, I believe, because I I just stopped, and I never had any uh, breakdown that I went back to. I even went out already with people that were drinking, and I had a Coke or a juice. And so, it was too easy for me to drop, but there are consequences. Yeah. So these consequences is where I am, dealing with my brain and strengthen it, or learning more about it, because once you drop alcohol, considering as much as I was drinking, I was a barman working hospitality for over 25 years. So alcohol was part of my life. That's one thing I always liked about England as well. It's because, a cheeky cider in the morning, it's acceptable. But yeah, so as I have changed, now a lot has changed. Obviously, I'm still myself, but a lot of other things you have kind of to learn again how to do, because before you had the Dutch courage, yeah? Now there is no more Dutch courage, eh? Even I made my gin, yeah, with erva mate, yeah, in Camden Town, I think it was. Yeah, good times. But yeah, so that was it. Today I just took the opportunity now because the lights are on and it's warming up the room, and then I said, okay, I'll record everything, and then boom, we get it done. So yeah, today was about it. Was about me talking about why do I like speaking English. As I said, I always preferred. I like, you know, it's a, it's not a choice. If when I'm alone and I'm thinking to myself, I do it in English. I don't do it in Portuguese. Yeah, for some reason. C'est la vie. That's the way it is. Actually, a few things I have in Italian as well, which is cool, especially when I hit something. So, porco dio, ma che cazzo. There are things that I mix them, which I think is really cool. But mainly I prefer English, yeah. And I'm studying a lot, improving as much as I can to be able to help people to learn also, and also uh, enlarge their opportunities, because English is the common language. It's the digital language. Is the way you go through every corner in the world. Obviously there are uh, some situations where you go, like there is a guy traveling Indonesia, some villages there people don't, but still, even the few words that people try to start to communicate, they are in English as well. So, so yeah, that's me. I did my video for to warn people, and also, yeah, let me take the opportunity. I have also, that's my teacher's creation, and I have also then created a little guide that helps people to understand this. So it's a step by step how you're gonna use these to help you uh, learn. To help you to be able to communicate. Start. I play. I am playing. I was playing. I played. I have played. I have been playing. I had played. I had been playing, and I am going to play. I will play. I will be playing. I will have played. Would play. I would be playing. I would have played. Yeah, that's the sequence that we have, and then after you have the auxiliary verbs. Yeah. Can, could, may, might, must, ought to, should, need, would, rather, used to. It's pretty cool though. It's very efficient. I can assure that. And me, as I have, as my 700 ghost followers are there. I am now with this guy here, Deepak Chopra, yeah, which he has a very interesting story, because he also was doing something in life, and then suddenly he met some people that diverge his idea to what he was doing. And I think it's pretty cool because it's the second podcast I'm watching from him, and there are a lot of things that he says that make a lot of sense to me. One of them, even I thought myself that I had created that in my mind, but it was already out there. And I've been discussing a lot with ChatGPT and all the other available AIs, Gemini, and then Meta. I am exploring, because the end of the day, we can only try to use these in benefit of the humanity, and we all know, everybody has warned already, that the biggest issue is not the technology itself. It is what the humans do with it. It can be used for good. It can be used to cure illnesses, like to prevent and save people, and to generate clean energy and whatnot. But we know that I've seen the other day also a video, a movie that says it's in the human nature to destroy each other. So it's very unfortunate. But this, I'm gonna do one video talking about this guy, and we'll add 3 podcasts that I've watched from him, because as far as I can see, they are all very similar. So I'm just doing some of my notes, getting some ideas and some interpretation going, to be able to bring here and share and ask for your opinion, as I always do. And yeah, let's not mix it up the video. So just to say, I have passed on the TOEFL certification. Thanks for those that were supporting me. 700 people. Someone must have thought, oh, has Joseph passed? Yes, I have. So now there are another 2 assignments, and then the course is finished. And I'm hoping I will get them done by the end of the month. Or, yeah, at least by the beginning of the first week of next month. Because there is the time, 3 days, for them to correct each assignment. So. And then after that, I'm going to go to Scotland. I have built the tent back there, but as you can see, I'm in the cave. Nothing has happened, and I haven't complained about it, because another video I have bringing in. It's about the difference of the therapy that I'm doing. How come, not how come, but one side of the therapy is telling me I'm wrong, the other side is telling me I'm right, and in the middle I have all these questions of, if it's wrong or right. I don't know. I know that the arthritis is getting hard on me, so now I am having to use some protection as well. It's funny, like Gabor Mate said, it's all here. And I understand I have been having some stormy times in here, and that may be resulting on this. But c'est la vie. I'm working on it. So yeah, that's about it. Got the time needed for the video. I hope any of you 700 watch. Let me know anything about it. If you teach English, you want to know about this methodology, it will help you a lot with either French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, German speakers. It helps with, in general, any language, but these languages that have this difference on verbal endings, on suffixes, it does, it's kind of like, just to understand that it's the ending of the verb that changes. and these little particles. Sometimes it also follow patterns for some verbs, but yeah, it's way more complicated than English, and that's why this chart makes easier. So if you teach English and you want to succeed, you want to speed up and help people, you know, on a blink of an eye to understand, get in touch with me. I'll share. I have some charts here. I'll post it to you, and we can do a video call, and I can, guide you through it. Okay? Cool. Happy days. Another day, another dollar. See you around. Thank you for watching.